Welcome back to FlyEaglesFly News, where we dive deep into everything happening with the Philadelphia Eagles. Today, there's a lot on the table, and we're going to unpack it all, starting with some big stories off the field and moving into the action on the gridiron. First, let's talk about Darius Slay. The situation with him has been stirring up some chatter, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the bigger picture. The Bills claimed him, but Slay himself reportedly had some hesitations about going to Buffalo. The way it looks, he was considering retirement rather than uprooting his life to play in a new city, especially one that's known for its bitter winters and challenging conditions. For a player who's had a long career, played at a high level, and knows the system, the idea of moving to a team where he might not have a leading role is not appealing. Philadelphia, on the other hand, represents familiarity. It's home. He knows the playbook, the coaches, the environment, and even likely has personal ties to the area. The Eagles claiming him seemed like the right fit for both sides, even if it created a little drama in the media. Sometimes a player just wants to be where they feel most comfortable, and in this case, home is where the heart is. Turning to the injury front, the news around Jalen Carter is concerning. His shoulders are in bad shape, and this has already impacted the team's plans for the immediate future. When you look at the role he plays, his physical presence on the field is critical. And the fact that he's dealing with this level of injury means the Eagles are being cautious. They're not putting him on injured reserve, but he's clearly ruled out for the next set of games. It's a smart approach because the playoffs are approaching, and they need him close to 100%. In the meantime, the injury report has other names to watch. Lane Johnson isn't on IR and should be back soon, while Zach Bonds has a hand injury and Isaiah Gibson is still working through shoulder issues. Jalen Phillips suffered a concussion, but there's hope he can clear protocol in time to contribute. Marcus and Miles Hinton have been full participants in practice, signaling they could return to action shortly. It's a juggling act for the Eagles, balancing recovery, readiness, and playoff preparation. But that's the nature of the league at this stage of the season now. Let's shift gears to Jalen Hurts, who's been facing a wave of criticism lately. Questions have been raised about whether he's less willing to run the ball this season. But Hurts has addressed these concerns directly, emphasizing his commitment to whatever it takes to win. He's focused on executing the game plan each week and bringing the team's strategy to life, rather than worrying about narratives being created off the field. There's a lot of conversation around the offensive line and play calling, and it's clear that Hurts is doing his part within a system that hasn't always been easy to navigate. Fans watching the games know what's happening. They see the challenges and understand that it's not a single player's responsibility to carry the load. The energy, leadership, and adaptability he brings remain a central piece of the Eagles' efforts to push through adversity and maintain momentum as the season progresses. The criticism doesn't define him, and he continues to prove that his focus is on team success rather than stats or individual accolades. With Jalen Carter sidelined, this opens up opportunities for players like Ty Robinson, or a young talent who's had glimpses of potential but hasn't been a regular contributor. Now is the chance to step up. The team will need to see flashes of the skills he's shown in practice and on tape to determine if he can become a consistent piece of the defensive front. There's a lot of raw talent in the roster, but translating that to game performance in the NFL is a different challenge entirely. Athleticism is one thing, but understanding the nuances of play, timing, and reading the game separates the good from the great. Robinson has the chance to show what he's capable of, and the next few games will be critical for evaluating his future role. It's a moment for him to gain confidence, experience, and potentially carve out a space as a dependable contributor. Finally, the discussion about potential changes to the playbook cannot be ignored. Adjustments in schemes, new strategies, and focusing on execution up front are all part of what can elevate this team. From being good to great, the offensive line sets the tone. And if they can control the line of scrimmage, the rest of the team has a chance to shine. Saquon Barkley's role as a stabilizing and motivating presence adds to the energy needed to make these adjustments work. His positivity, professionalism, and work ethic set an example for the rest of the squad, and having players like him leading by example is invaluable. While the film might not always reflect the team's full potential, there's talent, skill, and heart on this roster. The challenge lies in executing consistently, adapting to what opponents present, and making the plays when it matters most. With the NFC East race still open, Every opportunity to climb, adjust, and improve counts, and the Eagles know they have a chance to take full advantage if they can put all the pieces together. Moving forward, there's a lot to unpack in terms of how the Eagles are going to approach the coming games, and how the roster adjustments are going to impact performance on both sides of the ball. With Jalen Carter out, the defensive rotation is going to be tested. And that's where players like Ty Robinson need to step in and show what they're capable of. This is not just about filling a spot. It's about proving that the next generation can rise to the occasion when opportunity knocks. Ty has shown flashes of raw athleticism in practice and glimpses in previous games, but translating that into consistent, reliable performance at the professional level is a different challenge altogether. The pace, the physicality, and the precision required in the NFL is intense, and how he adapts in real time will say a lot about his future. The Eagles coaching staff is going to be watching closely, seeing if he can maintain discipline, read the game, and make impactful plays when it matters most. Every snap he gets is a chance to earn trust and demonstrate that he can be a key contributor as the team pushes toward playoff contention. On the offensive side, Jalen Hurts continues to be the heartbeat of this squad. Despite the ongoing criticism about the running game and whether he's carrying too much of the burden, Hurts has stayed focused on executing the team's strategy and keeping his eyes on the bigger picture. It's not about individual stats or personal accolades. It's about doing what's necessary to win each week. The offensive line has had its struggles, and the challenges in blocking schemes have been apparent in games, but Hurts' ability to adapt, stay poised, and make smart decisions under pressure has been critical. Every time he drops back to pass, he's reading the defense, adjusting the blitzes, and finding openings for his receivers. The chemistry with the running back and the trust in the blocking schemes are crucial. But Hurts' leadership goes beyond the physical execution. It's his mindset, energy, and willingness to shoulder responsibility that drives the team forward even when things aren't clicking perfectly on the field. Fans can see that he's giving his all, and the narrative that he's somehow holding back or not running enough simply doesn't reflect the effort or skill he's putting into every game. The discussions around changes to the playbook have also been gaining traction. Coaches are constantly looking for ways to innovate, create mismatches, and put the team in the best position to succeed. Even small adjustments in scheme, formation, or personnel rotation can have a significant impact on the effectiveness of plays. For the Eagles, the key is execution up front. If the offensive line can consistently win their matchups, the running backs and receivers can capitalize, and Hurts can continue to operate with confidence. Saquon Barkley has been essential in this regard, not just as a player, but as a source of energy and morale for the team. His work ethic, positivity, and leadership help elevate those around him. When the line struggles, when the plays break down, his presence and ability to adapt make a noticeable difference. Keeping that energy consistent across the squad, especially in tough conditions and high-pressure situations, is a critical part of maintaining competitiveness in the NFC East race. Meanwhile, the NFC East itself remains wide open, and every game carries immense significance. The Cowboys' recent loss opened a door for Philadelphia, and the opportunity to capitalize is there if the team can stay focused and avoid mistakes. The potential for a turnaround depends on multiple factors, from injury management to in-game adjustments and strategic planning. The players are aware of what's at stake, and the coaching staff is tasked with making the right calls to maximize their chances. Adjusting the playbook, rotating players, and experimenting with different formations are all tools that can be leveraged to gain an edge. While talent is evident on the roster, the question is whether they can harness it effectively when it counts most. The upcoming games are not just about wins and losses. They're about sending a message, building momentum, and proving that the team has what it takes to dominate when the playoffs arrive. In terms of individual performances, there are a few players to keep a close eye on. Lane Johnson's return from injury will bolster the offensive line, and his experience and skill can help stabilize the front. Zach Bonds and Isaiah Gibson's recoveries are crucial as well, adding depth and versatility to the roster. Jalen Phillips' concussion recovery is another key development. If he clears protocol, he can make an immediate impact on defense. Marcus and Miles Hinton returning to full participation adds valuable options for rotations and situational plays. Every player who steps back onto the field represents not just a boost in skill but a chance to re-establish rhythm, chemistry, and confidence. The depth of the roster will be tested, and how these players integrate into the lineup could influence the team's ability to sustain success over the final stretch of the season. The mental and emotional aspects of the game are also worth noting. Players like Hurts and Barkley aren't just contributors on the field, they set the tone for preparation, focus, and resilience. Hurts' ability to respond to criticism and maintain composure under scrutiny is a lesson in leadership. Barkley's constant energy, positivity, and support for teammates help maintain morale. Even when things don't go perfectly, this combination of mental toughness and physical skill creates a foundation that allows the team to handle adversity and pursue victory. The Eagles' success in the coming weeks will depend as much on mindset and cohesion as on raw talent or strategy. Winning in the NFL requires more than talent alone. It requires trust, preparation, and the ability to perform under pressure. The players who can bring all these elements together consistently will be the ones who define the team's identity as the playoffs approach. Finally, the notion of opportunity cannot be overstated. With injuries, lineup changes, and the shifting dynamics of the season, every snap represents a chance for players to step up and make a mark. Ty Robinson, in particular, is entering a period where his performance could define his trajectory with the team. The Eagles coaching staff will be watching his ability to adapt, learn, and execute in live-game scenarios. This isn't just about filling a temporary gap, it's about evaluating whether he can grow into a reliable, impactful player who contributes meaningfully in the future. The next series of games will provide clarity on who can handle the pressure, who can make decisive plays, and who can elevate the team's overall performance. Every challenge, every adjustment, and every opportunity matters, and the Eagles' ability to respond effectively will determine their position in the division and their momentum heading into the playoffs. Finally, the combination of coaching strategy, player development, and game-time execution defines the team's potential trajectory. Adjustments in the playbook, coupled with players stepping up to fill gaps, have the capacity to change not only single games but the entire course of a season. The Eagles possess the talent necessary to contend for the NFC East crown and potentially secure the top seed, but realizing that potential requires alignment, focus, and the ability to execute under pressure. Each practice, each snap, and each decision on game day contributes to the larger narrative of the team's season. Fans are watching closely, hopeful that the Eagles can harness their abilities, capitalize on opportunities, and overcome obstacles to achieve success. The blend of raw talent, strategic adjustments, and resilient leadership defines this moment for the team, making every play, every decision, and every game a critical step toward fulfilling their championship aspiration. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. The Philadelphia Eagles appear to be facing a sudden shakeup that could ripple through the league. Rumors are swirling around the team's locker room after the shocking announcement of the loss of one of their key players. While the organization has not disclosed the full details, insiders suggest that this departure could have major implications for both team dynamics and upcoming matchups. Fans have taken to social media, expressing a mix of disbelief and concern, speculating on the potential reasons behind the player's exit. Some whispers hint at contract disputes, others at personal matters, but the truth remains closely guarded by team officials. Speculation is running rampant among analysts and commentators, with many suggesting that this could mark a turning point for the Eagles' season. The player in question has been central to the team's strategy, contributing not only on the field but also in the locker room, where leadership and morale have been crucial. Observers note that the Eagles' upcoming games may require significant adjustments, as coaches scramble to reconfigure formations and find suitable replacements. Rumors also suggest that rival teams are closely monitoring the situation, perhaps seeing an opportunity to capitalize on the sudden instability, adding fuel to the fire. Sources claim that internal discussions within the Eagles' management have been unusually intense in recent days. Players, too, are said to be reacting with a mix of shock and determination, knowing that the absence of a cornerstone figure will demand more from everyone else. Fans, meanwhile, are speculating endlessly. Is this departure permanent? Could there be a trade in the works? Or is this a temporary setback due to unforeseen circumstances? Social media channels are abuzz with potential scenarios, each more dramatic than the last. Even sports talk shows are weighing in, debating whether this loss could redefine the team's identity. Will the Eagles emerge resilient, rallying around new leaders? Or will the vacuum left behind expose vulnerabilities in their roster? Whatever the case, the atmosphere around the team is thick with tension and anticipation, making this one of the most talked about stories in recent memory. One thing is certain, everyone in the league is watching closely, eager to see how the Eagles respond to a challenge that could shape the narrative of the season. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.